Yes, team, welcome to The Wild Path. My name is Ollie McCarthy. Today's podcast, I'm not going to lie, might be a bit of a slap in the face, but it could well be the slap in the face that you need. Today, we're going to talk about the harsh reality of what a lot of blokes are doing. And that is if you're a bloke who's 35 years old plus and you've neglected your health and fitness for a long period of time, then more than likely you are sleepwalking towards ill health and potentially an early grave. Now, that might sound a little bit extreme, it might sound a little bit harsh, but that is something that I've continually encountered time and time again through men physically and mentally neglecting what they need to be able to perform at the highest level that they can, or even just perform at a good level. And look, I understand that there's a reason that that's happened, and more often than not, it's well intentioned. You have let things slip to try and balance work and a career and trying to achieve. You've let things slip to try and allow you to actually have a life and feel like you're relieving some of the pressure from work. And then also, be able to have life within a family, whether that's with kids or a partner or whatever else. These things slip with good intentions, but over time they build and build and build. And it's that build over time that can cause devastating and potentially catastrophic effects further on down the line. Because if the balance swings one way for too long, then it's really, really hard to pull it back because you get ingrained in these habits and these things that you do. Typical ones are that actually you're using food, booze, and work as a coping mechanism. You have no positive outlet for stress. And here's the thing, if you truly want to turn up as the best version of yourself at home, as a partner and a dad, as a colleague, as a boss, you need to take your health and fitness seriously. It can't just be an afterthought. You need to take control because realistically, if we're really thinking about this, someone who can turn up and lead is someone who has a healthy body and a healthy mind, and those two are interlinked. Because I can almost guarantee if you are doing things for your body, you will also be doing things for your mind as a byproduct. And those two interlink quite strongly, and that's something we'll talk about as well. But if you're letting things slip and you're continually ignoring the call to move, to eat better, to live a healthier lifestyle, then over time, the waistline continues to grow. You're getting out of breath walking upstairs. You're snappy, you fly off the handle easily, and you live your days fueled by anxiety and fear and self-doubt. And that comes from someone who has lived that. That comes from someone who has been in that position. And I was not operating at my highest level. And it's hard when you're in that position to pull yourself out. But trust me when I say this with every inch of my soul, it is fucking worth it if you do it. So if you are in a place of desperation or you have those warning signs that you keep ignoring, uh, my calling to you is take action, small action. Just start, do something. Because the reality is, so many of us are walking towards preventable health conditions, or in worst case scenarios, death. We think about the things that are causing the biggest health problems these days. It's type 2 diabetes, preventable, high blood pressure, again, you can do things to prevent that. Cardiac problems. And if we go the other way and begin thinking about our mental health, the biggest killer of men under 45 is themselves. So many men take their own lives. And look, I'm not going to begin to suggest that health and fitness is the all seeing, all doing answer, but actually, I've had friends who have been in bad places before, and sometimes just having a place to release that stress rather than just letting it build, let it build, having some social interaction outside of work and things like that. And it makes all the difference. And I'll say it again, we prioritize everything else, but there comes a point where if we truly are saying we want to be the best version of ourselves, we actually need to prioritize our own physical and mental health. Because the people in your life need you to be there as a present and healthy version of yourself. The people in your life need you to be there, present and healthy in body and mind. Let that sink in. So that is what we face right now. That is what you might face. And I guarantee there's going to be a few people here that listen to this and they're like, fucking hell, yeah, that's me. And look, I'm not going to bullshit you. It is hard to change. It's hard to get going. But that is part of what this podcast is here for. And hopefully, over the coming weeks, what I'm going to begin to do is give you some insight into how you can begin doing that. And actually, some simple ways that you can begin just nudging the dial back towards yourself, back towards feeling like the best version of yourself. Because I can guarantee there is a version of you that you've enjoyed being more than the version of you that is now. But you've probably just forgotten what that feels like. You've probably forgotten what it feels like to have energy, to wake up and feel good and feel excited for the day. Instead, you're deep in Groundhog Day, the same monotony, the same stress, the same pressure the whole time, building, building, building. At the weekend, it's trying to relieve some of that stress and pressure and enjoy your time, but it's still in the back of your head. There is a version of you, there is a version of life where you can turn up, you can feel good, you can perform well, you can be present. That is going to take some action, but I go back to it. If you take action, if you do something, not only will you feel great, but actually everything and everyone that you care for, you will be around for longer in a better position for them and to be able to enjoy life. What's it going to take? Well, you're going to have to take some control of your fitness and nutrition, which probably is going to be some change. And for each person, that's an individual thing. You're going to actually need to find some headspace so you can begin to gain clarity and control on what you're doing. Are you just going through the motions and trying to survive day to day? Or do you actually know what you're working towards? Do you actually know the life you want to lead? And you're going to have to make some tough decisions now. You're probably going to have to communicate to everyone else why you're making these changes. You're going to have to cut some things out. You're probably going to have to sacrifice some stuff. And that's not necessarily going to be easy. you're also going to have to build a better understanding of who you are and what you want out of life. Because a lot of us are just going through the motions and have been influenced by everything and everyone around us, rather than actually having a grasp of the life that we want to lead and what that looks like. And this is something I will expand on and talk about in the future, and I'll, happily use myself as an example. How do we make this change? Well, number one is a plan. So beginning to work out when you can exercise, beginning to work out what changes you can make. That is number one. Number two is some accountability. You will fall off track at points. It happens to all of us. But it's not about whether you off track or not. It's about how quickly it takes you to get back on that is going to be the game changer. And to be honest, a good plan and some accountability is one of the main reasons I have a job. Because when I'm working with people, although I'm listening to what they're telling me in terms of what they want, what I'm really trying to understand is how that looks in their life and is it sustainable for a long period of time? How can I keep them on track? And if they fall off, when they fall off, how we draw a line under it and get back on it. If I use myself as an example, I wouldn't say I'm the most disciplined person in the world. However, what I am very good at doing is getting on back on track quickly. So if I have a slip up, if I have a meal out at the weekend with the family, lying under it, I'm back on track on Monday. And then finally, it's about creating a vision of what you're working towards. And part of that conversation is this conversation. Is actually, if you don't feel good, if you're feeling out of shape, if you don't feel like yourself, is that all these decisions you're taking, all this work you're going to do now is towards a version of yourself in the future that has what you don't have now, who feels good, who can get down and play with their kids without feeling like they're going to break their knee or their back, who can run up a hill, walk up a flight of stairs without, feeling like they're going to keel over or have an asthma attack, who feels good in their clothes, who carries himself with confidence and purpose. That's what you're working towards alongside that whole life piece. That's the vision. That's what you've got to think about. Because the cake's always going to taste good, but knowing there's a version of you that feels even better, knowing there's a version of life that is even more energizing is enough to take a pass on that cake and move forward. Not that I'm saying you need to give up cake forever, but in the short term, sometimes saying no to stuff is going to be better for you than saying yes. So look, today is not about solving stuff. Today is about giving you a kick in the arse if you need it. And there'll be some of you listening that it might not apply to. There'll be some of you listening that you just need to get sense checked and get back on track. And there's some of you that this is going to hit like a slap in the face. So wherever you are and whatever you need, I hope you've taken something out of this today. Like I say, it's not here to give you all the answers. It's just here to give you a nudge. And in the short term, get a plan to get started, get some accountability to keep you on track or to give you a nudge in the right direction if you fall off, and get that vision that North Star to work towards. And that is going to be the thing that begins moving the needle for you. If you have questions, if you need help, drop me a line. I'll speak to you soon.